Okay, so here we are with video 2, and just going to pick up where we left off. While Victor only imagines that life and death are ideal bounds in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein until he creates his creature from dead body parts, the opening episode of Frankenstein MD reminds us that in the 21st century, we can already reanimate some of the dead using defibrillators. When Victoria's lab partner Iggy, captioned "not doctor," in contrast to Victoria's future MD, accidentally kills himself, as we just saw, during the middle of the first episode of the show, viewers witness a scene common in contemporary medical television dramas, but unheard of in Mary Shelley's day. When Iggy flatlines, Victoria wheels over the crash cart, completely unfazed. It's a great piece of mise-en-scène, and applies the paddles and shocks Iggy back to life. The question is not whether we can reanimate the dead, but whether we should, or more accurately, the series stages the full complexity of the debate by juxtaposing Iggy's return to life with Robert Walton's. No one debates whether or not Victoria acted ethically in reviving Iggy, but Robert is an entirely different question. Yet the emotional difference is apparent, in that, I'm going to switch screens here. So this emotional difference is apparent in that this is the first episode with low-key lighting. You can see that, where we've got the harsh shadows on Victoria, and she's wearing a black shirt instead of her normal white lab coat. And suggesting that Victoria has pushed down her grief over Robert's death into this scientific challenge of bringing him back to life, the series reinforces the perspective of Victoria's male peers. Yet while Victoria sublimates repressed desires and anxieties into her scientific work, she sees herself as a feminist scientist. Her ambition to revive Robert is not just a personal desire to save her friend, but also her ambition to trump her male peers' work. And she says, quote, "And then they'll have to admit that a girl, just like the ones they ignore and ostracize and belittle, unlock the mysteries of life and death," end quote. So Victoria's self-identification as a girl illustrates her double bind. Victoria replicates the infantilizing emphasis placed on her gender by her male colleagues and returns to the separate spheres of laboratory and home, male and female, which were central to Shelley's novel. Now, not Robert remains, in keeping with other film adaptations, only able to grunt. He's not an articulate creature of Shelley's text, but the inarticulate creature of Whale's film that we watched, whose first word is friend. When Victoria rejects this role, she differentiates between friend and creator. Her use of the word creator also rejects the maternal, aligning Victoria with science and God instead of mother. She says, quote, "I am not your friend, I am your creator, and I made a mistake. You are my mistake," end quote. Victoria insists on seeing the creature, whom we're going to call not Robert, as an experiment which by the very nature of the scientific process can fail and be discarded. In response, the creature inarticulately asks Victoria to make him a, quote, "friend, like me, not alone," end quote. Specifically, not Robert asks her to reanimate Rory. So Victoria's refusal to do so brings about Eli's death, leaving Victoria and the creature alone together. And the series ends there. The show's writers note that the series fills a 2-year gap in Shelley's novel, the time between Victor's departure from medical school and his encounter with Walton in the Arctic, but there's no suggestion that Frankenstein MD's creature will lead Victoria on such a quest. Indeed, the conflation of Robert and the creature reinforces the suggestion that the conclusion of the series is the end of the whole narrative. This ending drastically reimagines the novel, in which Victor dies far from home after pursuing the creature to the Arctic. The creature boards the ship after Victor's death and, quote, says, "What does it avail that I now ask thee to pardon me?" end quote. And in the ensuing conversation with Walton, challenges Victor's narrative once more by reminding Walton and the reader of the ill treatment the creature received, which shaped his being and made him miserable. This misery can only end with his death. In contrast, Frankenstein MD ends with the creature confronting Victoria after murdering Eli so that they can be alone together. He demands her attention. He demands that she parent him. So notably, Frankenstein MD's gender swapping does not extend to the not Robert or creature. He remains male. He requests a female friend. Yet because the creature remains male, his encounter with Victoria is sexually charged. The camera films Victoria's fear, and we'll see this here in just a minute, as not Robert looms over her and strokes her cheek. She attempts to kill him by stabbing his neck with a syringe full of opioids, but they're ineffective, highlighting his excessive strength as he physically dominates her. Again, Victoria has trusted to science to trump gender and has failed. She is at the creature's mercy. Rejected by Victoria, he picks up the photo of Rory and suggests that Victoria reanimate her as his friend. The photo recalls a miniature of Caroline Frankenstein that motivates the creature in Shelley's original. Like Shelley's creature, this creature is denied female companionship. Victoria's blog post, quote, "The hypothetical need for a mate," also explores whether the creature has a right to a mate. And we can see that blog post here, the hypothetical need for a mate. Yet, while Victoria does agree to animate another corpse, she does not here, I'm going to put this full screen again. She does not exhume Rory. Indeed, despite the blog post and the creature's clear preference for a female companion, underscored by the suggestion that he's sexually aroused by Victoria, Iggy Waldman and Victoria